Hey, upper body session with Brian Miner. And this is going to be a regular thing. Upper body session, not a full body session. I'll get into that, into why it is that we're doing this in a second here. But what I wanted to go over in this video first, I think it's kind of useless for you guys to just kind of see me rep out weight and just train if there isn't an educational component to this. So I'm going to go over a few of these movements and why it is that I'm doing, and perhaps go over a few details or adjustments, things that you can focus on while doing these movements that perhaps can help you get the most out of them. So this is the movement that's replacing my bench press for now because my right elbow is misbehaving, and this is really the only movement where it doesn't seem to bother me too much. The good thing is that this was my main press a good portion of this off season, so I feel right at home. A little rusty for sure, but I'd say strength levels are at about like 90%, which is not bad considering the fact that most of my off season I was about 8-ish, 9-ish pounds heavier than I am right now. So pretty pleased with that, and it should be pretty close to 100% back. I'd say within a week or two. I think usually about 4 weeks is about what I need to reacclimate to movements that I have used in the past and kind of get my strength levels back to, I guess, their baseline levels in that movement. But that will be the main chest press movement from that point on. This is kind of a decline machine press. A lot of machines at Iron Prodigy, which is a good thing. You have a lot of variety, and there surely will be, you'll find a machine here that fits you. This next movement is a movement that I wanted to highlight. This is just a preacher curl machine, hammer strength, I believe. But it's a great machine, and I really, really like this curl as, I guess you could say, more of a finisher, something to gobble up some volume, something that you would do in the higher rep ranges. Anyone who's done something similar to this will tell you that it's pretty easy to get a pump. You'll have an easy time finding a pump in your biceps, and a big reason why is because your biceps are in a almost fully flexed position because of the position of your shoulders and because you're bending at the elbows, right? And what you will see is that, it kind of has like an occlusion type effect. So in regards, there's bicep movements that I use more so to I guess, overload with, to be more progressive with. This is one of those movements where, more than anything, I tend to work in the 12 to 15 Bernie range. I think this is a movement where your shoulders your biceps in a almost fully flexed position is probably where you're going to get the most bang for your buck in regards to just being able to accumulate a good pump, which is always a bonus. That's always nice. But then also just have an easier time building up that metabolic fatigue. So, and then this movement here, the one arm pullover with a little bit of spinal flexion, has been a regular, especially since I've, my elbow has been the limiting factor on my right side. So that movement's kind of replaced a lot of the pull downs that I was doing prior. And look out for a tutorial video when it comes to that. This machine right here, in fact, there is a blog. So here we go. I'm going to tell you about these movements and then just sending you out elsewhere. But there's going to be a blog post on why this machine is so great and why 90% of you guys who are trying to figure out lateral raises with free weights perhaps would be better off doing something like this. When that does come out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to link it in the description. But again, one of the best machines ever made, and I think often overlooked. That was an upper body day, just kind of a sample upper body day. This was my lower body day, and look at that millennial socks. We can't get our sock situation together. It's mismatched socks, right? So this was my last acclimation set before I got to my actual working sets. I kind of twisted a muscle in my thoracic spine last week, so I felt it felt good knowing that it didn't seem to really affect anything this week. So it indeed was a muscle. For a minute that I was kind of freaked out, but front squatting went really well. I've been doing those for a while, but this is something that I'm bringing back in now that I am running an upper-lower split. It's a little bit easier to fit this in, especially for me. I'm just not built to pull, I feel, sometimes. A lot of it because of past injuries, yes, but then also it's just that insanely long torso, really short arms, I just always feel like I'm deficit pulling. But I think right now the main reason that I want to put this back in is simply because I like to deadlift, but then also it saves me so much time. It just collects, uh, it just collects so many muscles along the way, especially if you're pulling conventional and if you mind the eccentric. Remember, there is mechanical tension waiting for you in the eccentric. So essentially, if you like pay attention to the eccentric, get something out of it, you're getting some extra volume when you think about it, right? If you're just like doing it a la powerlifter, which is fine for if that's your goal, and just pulling it off the floor and then just kind of dropping it. Again, that's fine for a powerlifter, but I think as a bodybuilder, this is probably a better way of going about it and getting the most out of your deadlifts. So here's one thing I did wrong on this day. The front squat. Look at that. You can see that on the third rep with 335, I looked down, and basically where you look, your chest will follow, and on that rep it was almost like the kiss of death, but I didn't break, and that was fantastic because again my T-spine was kind of questionable going into this workout. But that's one thing I love about front squats is the fact that they teach me a few fundamental things that I think just will come in handy for other squat variations. Like one, really be mindful of how you unrack the bar. Like you want to wedge in there, you want to be tight, you want to be braced, nothing loose on that chain, right? Because if you walk out a wobbly front squat, it's going to be a disaster from that point onwards. You will definitely pay for it later. And then the other thing is I feel it makes me trust my stance. I can't look down because if I look down, again, like chest kind of follows that and I tend to topple over. So what I love about the front squat is that, yeah, it teaches me, again, like come out of the rack with like being mindful of where your body is, brace, get tight. And then on the placing of the feet, like trust your gut instinct, like where they are at is where they belong. Don't stand there for too long, like freaking squat. So it gives me less time to think. I tend to front squat with a lot less inhibition compared to my back squat. Calves, of course, because we're always working on those calves. And remember, pauses, if you're not pausing at the bottom, you're basically doing Achilles tendon and squat raise and calf raises. Started to include these again simply because some of my squat volume is out the window for now. Not out the window, but it's roughly about 2/3 of what it was before. So just to kind of keep some of that volume in place. Obviously, I can't match it up like rep for rep, but yeah, it's a very practical way to go about it. Key point on this one is to drive your quads off the pad. Give that rectus femoris a little extra love, which if you don't do that, outside of the leg extension, there just really isn't another machine that's going to target that beautiful quad muscle at the top of your thigh, at least not the way that a leg extension does. And then one thing that I'm often told is that, dude, you seem to really slow down the concentrics and like squeeze, and I don't. No, I let the load dictate the speed at which I lift. And you can see here, the first few reps, it kind of flies off, and then eventually flies off less, right? And again, like that's one of the reasons that I love hammer strength machines, because you can treat them like free weights. Again, let the load dictate the speed of the concentric. You don't have to do any squeezing, so long as you're using the right technique and you know how to fire those muscles correctly. So maybe while you're learning, but eventually, dude, just move the weight with some authority. But yeah, that is it. That's training. Let's get into the stuff that happened outside the gym and how for a minute there, dude, I completely I lost my shit. So yeah, let's get into that moment. So for those of you guys who do follow me when it comes to day-to-day stuff, which I've been trying to do a good job of posting about it on other social media platforms, it seemed like everything has been under control. Like I have absolutely been just demolishing this prep. And I think when it comes to the fat loss part of it, when it comes to making this diet, really only as difficult as it needs to be. I think we've been doing a great job of that, conserving energy. I think that is key whenever you want to push anything like really far. Um, yeah, and I think that's something that really good athletes just know how to do, and especially really good experienced athletes. So that part's been really good. However, what was really where my moment came from, where I was like, dude, I am done with this prep. I can't do this anymore. Was basically I had a moment, a few moments, in fact, and a few moments where I was not happy with the strides that I had made this off season when it comes to certain muscle groups in my upper half. I'd say I felt like my deltoids had lost a little bit of pop. I felt like my arms as well had not improved as much as I would like, and perhaps, if anything, even backslid a little bit. So I had a heart-to-heart conversation, a going crazy conversation with both my friends and my friend Brian Miner, who you saw in the video, and then also Jeff Alberts as well. And I kind of talked to them independently and see where they got to. So for a minute there, I'm like, dude, I'm not putting myself out there and showcasing a physique that just hasn't improved enough, or a physique that maybe might have even taken like a step back somehow, which just completely baffled me, to be honest. So sent pictures to both of them. They gave me their thoughts, and if anything, they concluded that more than anything, the issue was just the way that the work had been distributed over the last few weeks, and that it was something that we could perhaps correct with a month off dieting, bringing food back up, and then kind of giving a little bit more volume to these body parts. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So for a month, what we're going to do is we're going to go with an upper-lower split, because what this does is it allows me to get to my arm-specific work and not be totally like tapped out from everything that I did prior. Even if the volume makes sense by the time you get to your arms, because they tend to be because it makes sense to, right? It makes sense to save them towards the end, right? Because otherwise it's going to limit what you can do for your chest pressing, your pulling, if you're going into those movements with fatigued elbow flexors and extensors. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a hiatus from the full body split, run it upper lower for about the next month, and then also eat enough and perhaps eat at a small surplus. So since I've started this prep, when I came back from the Arnold, I was about 180 pounds, and now we're about 10 pounds lighter. So in about a little bit over a month's time, we've lost about 10 pounds. So the fat loss, if anything, I'm ahead of schedule, like to the point where it did cross my mind, like, dude, you are going to be like freaking running around peeled without a show, without your main deadlines like close by for a while. So if anything, it kind of worked out. And I think one thing that I guess this week taught me, and this is something that I absolutely, this is, again, we've talked about this before, how you can learn many life lessons from sports. And I've done that with other sports in the past, but I don't think there's a sport out there where I have just, have had as many knowledge bombs as I've had through bodybuilding. And one thing about bodybuilding is, especially when you're prepping with the deadline, is that sometimes you are, you think you have everything under control. That's how life is too. Sometimes you think you're just doing it, you're cruising right along, you got the stuff figured out, you assume, and then like boom, it just like it blindsides you, and you're lost and humbled. And that's exactly what happened. For a minute there, like, dude, I felt like the gingerbread man. Like, I'm that brown dude you can't get, dude. Prep, I'm getting you, you can't catch me. But lesson learned. Stay on your toes, and when it's good, appreciate it. And and just know that you never know, right around the corner there's going to be a moment of frustration. So brace yourself for that, learn to handle that, learn to be objective when that stuff happens, so that you can make something positive out of the situation right away. And I think, yeah, all in all, when I look back at the way I handled it, I think it was, I give myself a passing grade, because it's very hard for me sometimes to like reach out to others. It's one huge flaw that I have. I just kind of sometimes like to keep my stuff to myself. But I didn't, and I was rewarded. And because of that, we were able to make an about face, like be objective about the situation, create a plan. Camera kind of ran out of gas, but yeah, we were able to just get right back on track. So for me, it was good to see that doing that doesn't necessarily burden people, because that's honestly it's the main reason that I'm just not very good at it. It's simply because I've always just roles growing up, I've always been the shoulder and never the other way around. So to reach out to others and have them take the time to help you out, and like honestly, like not it was more like they were almost happy to, right? That's like strange to me. It's strange to me because that's how I feel when I can help out someone a friend who I truly care about. So that's where we're at, back on track. So I guess a little mini gaming phase, and we'll go over the details of what that looks like, because between you guys, I've been kind of sort of YOLOing the last like 10 days.